Live from the betting capital of the world. Giving raw and real breakdowns of mixed martial arts and recapping UFC events like no one else, with producer Martin on the ones and twos and combat sports betting expert Effie. You're listening to Any Action Sportscast. Any Action Sportscast. So put your headphones on and let's take this podcast to the next level.
This isn't a podcast. It's a sportscast.
What is up, guys? We are back. It's your boy Effie with Any Action Sportscast, here to go over UFC Vegas 72. Song Yadong versus Ricky Simone. We are coming off a travesty of a week, guys. We got reverse swept. Lost 4 units, lost every single one of our bet. It was a horrific card, dude. We should have known it was going to be a bad night right away when we had Dana back a raw for 1.5 units. And he just gets stopped in one of the worst stoppages I've seen in a long time, dude. Up 2 rounds to 0 on all 3 judges' scorecards. Ends up getting taken down with a minute and a half to go in round 3. And gets pinned up against the fence, can't escape, and just gets pounded out on the weakest ground and pound I've ever seen out of a fighter. Shout out to Brady, man. I'm happy for the kid, but that was a tough look for us, man. Tough stoppage. Just brutal loss, and it kind of set the vibe for the whole night. Right away after that, we had a 2-leg parlay. Francis Marshall, Bobby Green. Francis Marshall loses right away to William Gomez, gets turned to stone in those first 2 rounds, decides to get it going in that third, loses 2 rounds to 1. Definitely a big lesson for the kid, and definitely underestimated William Gomez, and at minus 200, Marshall was a bad parlay piece. As far as Bobby Green headbutting Jared Gordon, that's terrible. It was hilarious the way Paul Felder reacted, and it sucks that happened, man. No contest, and I thought Bobby Green was going to win that fight really easily. After that, dude, we had another 2-leg parlay, 1-unit shot at plus 109. We had Yasmin Lucindo to win against Brogan Walker, which hit at minus 350. And then we had Rick Glenn to win against Christos Diagos at minus 160, and he got knocked the fuck out. Absolutely slept, just terrible. Couldn't believe it. Lose that parlay. Another unit loss. After that, we had 2 sprinkles. We had a corner unit sprinkle on Justin Taffa to win via KO. Parlayed with Dana Baccarat to win via KO, and at least Dana got close because Justin Taffa is a pure bum. He actually made me stop watching the fights. He was looking so bad on the ground in that second round that I left. I was like, man, F this. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go smoke or something because he sucks. Terrible bet by me. And then our last sprinkle really hurt because we were so close to hitting this kind of. We had Sergey Pavlovich to win in round 2, plus 900. Put a quarter unit on that, and that could have saved our night a little bit. Ends up finishing Curtis Blades in that first round. Just a tough look, man. 4 units bet, 4 units lost. Clean sweep. Got bounced back this week. The last time we got reverse swept, guys, we went on a 4-card winning streak. Went on 10-2 in our next 12 bets. And we're going to do it again, man. We're going to bounce back this week. Already have 2 bets. We're going to have to make it a little bit of a quick, short video this week, guys. With my work, it's the only time I could get this video in. I do want to put out an official bets video on Friday, so be on the lookout for that. So without further ado, here's my short, quick prediction video for UFC 72. The first fight of the night will be a women's bantamweight fight between Hailey, Cowan, and Jamey-Lyn, Horth. Right away, guys, we have money on this fight. We laid 1.05 units on Jamey-Lyn, Horth at minus 105 to defeat Hailey, Cowan. Now, I think that she's going to be able to get this fight on the ground and submit her for the 3rd time in her professional career, and for Jamie to get her 6th finish in a row. Now, let's start with Jamie, all right? She's 33 years old, 5'7", with a 67-inch reach. She hasn't fought in over a year and 4 months, and that's because she had knee surgery. So that is a bit of a red flag coming off knee surgery at 33 years old. Pretty long layoff, making her debut up a weight class. You know, not a lot of good things going for her, other than the fact that Hailey Cowan is just not that impressive to me, guys. She is a decent striker. It's more, I'd say her kicks are better than her hands. In the Contender Series fight, she was showing a lot of good high leg kicks. And her speed's probably going to be on her side in this fight. But the grappling advantage 100% goes to Jamey-Lyn, Horth, in my opinion, in this fight. Hailey Cowan was a college gymnast. So you know she's strong and athletic in that cage. And I feel like both these fighters are going to want this fight along the cage in the clinch. And that's where I think Jamie will be able to get this fight down, man. She's 5-0, has finished every single fight. And I think she gets her 6th one here. I know it's a bit of a risk here, and that's why I only laid 1.05 units on it. But right away, guys, you know me. I have any action. I do have action on the first fight of the night. Up next, we have Brian Boom Kelleher taking on Journey Newson, man. Kelleher riding a 2-fight losing streak. Comes in as a minus 210 favorite on the screen, but he's actually beginning Steamed the other way. Money's been coming in on Journey Newsom. So now Kelleher is around minus 150, minus 165. It's pretty wild line movement. He's 36 years old, big red flag, 5'6" with a 64-inch reach. Journey Newsom on the other side, 10-4. He's sitting around plus 155. Like I said, money's been coming in on him big time this week. So his line's been coming down. He's 34 years old, pretty old as well. 5'5" with a 67.5-inch reach. Now I'm going with Brian Kelleher, and at that price, in my opinion, that might be a buy low spot on Kelleher here. I understand he's running a 2-fight losing streak where he's gotten finished in both fights, but those guys are really good fighters, man. Umar Nurmagomedov going to be a champ one day, and Mario Batista is a really good prospect. He's going to be ranked here one soon. That bantamweight division is no joke. Whereas Journey Newsom, coming off losing to Sergey Morozov, where what really screwed him in that fight, and most of his fights that he does lose, is his takedown defense, guys. And that's what I think is going to be Brian Kelleher's path to win this fight. On the feet, Journey Newsom is, I'd say, a pretty dangerous striker, has a little bit of pop to him. But not a lot of volume, and Kelleher, in my opinion, is the more sophisticated striker on the feet. I'll give him the IQ in that area. But the grappling, again, in this fight goes to Kelleher. Just like it did in the last fight, there is a big grappling advantage to Kelleher here. The striking defense from Kelleher is worrisome. He doesn't have the best defense. He gets hit a lot. He's there to be hit for sure, and he's getting old in age, man. 36 years old, getting up there. You got to wonder if that chin's going to go. But dude, he's on a little bit of like a outside the octagon narrative here. He's on his last fight of his contract, so he's going for broke here. If he doesn't win, this will probably be the last time we ever see him fight in the UFC. He's 36 years old, and he'll be riding a 3-fight losing streak. He will be in the PFL or in Bellator if he wants to keep fighting. I doubt they sign him. Why would they sign him in that type of scenario? Whereas Journey Newsom fought a good fighter in Sergey Morozov and gave him a good fight. Still 34 years old, and bantamweight division is super deep, so both these guys need to put on a good showing. I'm going with Kelleher, man. He has a really good guillotine. If Journey Newsom really wants to risk it and get crazy, shoot a takedown, he might leave his neck open. I think that Kelleher is just going to look for the offensive grappling and either win a decision or get Journey Newsom out of there via some ground and pound, but I think it goes to decision. I like the over in this fight. It is risky because he is 36 years old. Tough to bet the over on a fight with the bantamweight is 36 years old in there. But yeah, I'm going with Brian Kelleher. I'm pretty confident at minus 155, minus 165. I think that's a good price, man. At minus 210, I would not be touching Kelleher. I'll tell you that much. Up next, we have the biggest favorite on the card, I believe. Stephanie Egger taking on Irina Oleksiejczuk, making her debut. Stephanie Egger comes in 8-3, sitting as a minus 300 favorite, which is hilarious. She's 34 years old, 5'6", with a 68-inch reach. Irina Oleksiejczuk comes in 4-1, which is also hilarious, sitting as a plus 240 underdog, 32 years old, 5'8", with a 66-inch reach. I want to start with the girl in the blue corner, that challenger, Irina here. She's 4-1, and 2 fights ago, she lost to a girl that had an 8-6-2 record. She's 1-1 in the last 4 years. She's 1-1, guys. I have no clue how she's signed to the UFC. Stephanie Egger, not the best fighter as well, on the other side. But, dude, at least she's good at something. She's an elite judoka. Her judo is really good, man. She'll toss this girl around the octagon, and I think that she submits her in this fight. Give me Stephanie Egger early submission. I think that line is justified, but I just think it's funny that she's such a huge favorite. Against Jessica Rose Clark, I had her in that fight, and then I had her in that, I had the under in the Bueno Silva fight, and then I had her against Aline Perez. So we've been betting a lot on Stephanie Egger. I don't know if I'm going to bet her here this week. That line is getting wide, but it's fair. She's going to win the parlay piece for sure. And that's why I think I'm going to go. I think that I will either parlay piece Stephanie Egger or bet her prop inside the distance to win this fight. I don't think it goes to decision. I think that she submits this girl. Give me Stephanie Egger. I'm pretty, obviously, most highest favorite on the card. I'm pretty confident in that pick. Up next, man, I am super pissed that I can't bet on this fight right now. BetMGM, they need to step it up, dude. What are we doing? Josh Quinlan taking on Trey Waters. This is a short notice fight for Trey Waters, and when I say short notice, I mean super, super short notice. We'll get into it here. Josh Quinlan, undefeated, 6-0, should be 7-0, but he got popped for steroids. 30 years old, 6 foot with a 72-inch reach. This guy's a death punch finisher. This guy can crack. Trey Waters on the other side, 7-1, 28 years old, and get this 6'5 with a 77-inch reach. This is absolutely absurd. He's fighting at 170. He's 6'5. You rarely see that in MMA at all, obviously unless it's heavyweight, but like, what are we doing, right? So the reason I say he's fighting on short notice is that he fought a week and 1 day ago. When the fight starts on Saturday, he will have fought 2 weeks ago for the LFA title, no less. And not for nothing, guys, he took damage in that fight. It wasn't like he walked in there, submitted the dude in 2 seconds, or the guy broke his shin or something, or he knocked him out clean. Like, no, bro, that fight went to the second round, and he was getting hit. He actually getting a clean knockout, and it was a pretty sweet win. And now he's taking his chance to go to the UFC and subbing in for, I think, Ange Lusa, who was supposed to fight Josh Quinlan, which would have been a banger. And yeah, man, is risk because on the other side we have Josh Quinlan, 6-0, and he's a deadly striker, guys. His striking is clean. He has pop. One of those guys where he can pop you one. He doesn't have to touch you perfect and land flush. He can just crack you on the side. Clip shot, I guess you could say. But this guy's 6'5", dude, having 2 weight cuts in 2 weeks. This has to be a catch weight. I'll be shocked if he even makes weight. And when you're 6'5" and doing 2 weight cuts in a week, this screams Tony Ferguson against Gaethje. This dude's chin's gonna get cracked. His body's gonna be there. His lead leg's gonna get chopped down. I love Josh Quinlan inside the distance. I love him to win via knockout in this fight. And yeah, man, it just sucks. Like I said earlier, I can't bet it because it's not available. BetMGM hasn't put this line out, and I'll be pissed if Josh Quinlan drops like at minus 250. That would upset me. But I think he should be a big time favorite here. I understand Trey Waters, very good striker, 7-1, very long and rangy. But no, dude, give me Josh Quinlan, two fights in 2 weeks. That's tough, especially against someone that's good. It's not like Josh Quinlan's a bum. Give me Josh Quinlan to win via knockout in that first round. Up next, we have Cody Durden versus Charles Energy Johnson. Cody Durden comes in 14-4-1, 32 years old, sitting as a plus 165 underdog. He is 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. Charles Johnson on the other side, 13-4, sitting as a minus 200 favorite, 32 years old, 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. Now, this line has moved as well, so money's been coming in on Cody Durden steady all week, and I'm kind of bummed that I missed that early line on him. But I'm actually kind of leaning towards Charles Johnson at that minus 150, minus 165 line. Man, it's a tough fight to call. So Charles Johnson, I'll be honest, he's been a little bit of a letdown so far in the UFC. So comes in, makes his debut against Muhammad Mokaev, kind of gets wrestle-fucked the whole fight, but survives in a way. That's just the type of fight Mokaev fights, and he showed a good enough defensive grappling, got up a bunch of times, good get-ups, but guy got mauled, dude. Guy gave up 14 minutes of control time in that fight, and got kind of outclassed by a younger dude. And then we have the Zagazuma Gulo fight where he probably should have lost, and then went to split decision and he won, where we bet on him in that fight and we won. Then we had the Jimmy Flick fight where he got taken down, or not got taken down, but he got put down and his back got taken, dude. And Jimmy Flick ended up losing that fight, but I was worried. I was sweating for that a good 20 seconds in that fight. He got taken down and exposed in a bad spot. And he cashed first again there. Now in his most recent fight against Ode Osborne, we bet on him and the train came to a crash, man. We bet on him and Ode Osborne. One decision, and that was a fight where Ode Osborne just would not spamming leg kicks. Charles Johnson showed a real bad tendency of he couldn't check those kicks, and he let his opponent just push the pace on him. And that's something he does in all of his fights, guys. In the UFC so far, Charles Johnson is okay with letting his opponent be the one that pushes the pace of the fight. He gets behind. He's a slow starter, and that worries me against Cody Durden because Cody Durden is looking good, man. He knocked out JP Buys, which isn't the best win, but still a clean knockout. And he actually looked really good against Carlos Mota, who I rate as a pretty good fighter, who actually also fought Charles Johnson in the LFA. But actually, Carlos Mota got popped for steroids in that fight, so that was actually even more impressive. He was on steroids and he still handled his own, Pretty well-rounded fighter. He's not a specialist. Pretty good grappler. Decent hands, but I'd say probably the grappling is more of his edge. And yeah, man, I feel like he's going to be able to mix in the striking enough to present that wrestling threat to have Charles, again, be low output. I do think that on the feet, 100% Charles Johnson is the better, cleaner striker, more dangerous striker. But that's another thing. There's a lot of times where Charles Johnson is landing clean on these guys, and they're not going down, man. So it's got me worried. Like, I don't know if this dude has no power at all. You can tell he's a very slick striker. He's coming out of Tiger Muay Thai, but I love his front kicks. He does, he does have a good ability to create distance with those front kicks on his opponents. But yeah, man, I'm going to go with Charles Johnson via decision. It's risky, though. I'm actually super excited for this fight. It's one of the fights where I really don't know who's going to win this fight, but I know it's going to be close. So give me Charles Johnson to win via decision. Up next, we have a sloppy heavyweight fight between Martin Buday and Jake Collier, man. Martin Buday comes in with a 11-1 record, sitting as a minus 120 favorite. He is 31 years old, 6'4", with a 77-inch reach. Jake Collier on the other side comes in 13-8, riding a 2-fight losing streak, sitting as a plus 100 underdog. He is 34 years old, 6'3", with a 78.5-inch reach. Now, I gotta start with Jake Collier first and foremost. We had money on him against Chris Barnett, and that was one of the most frustrating moments to watch because obviously Chris Barnett pulls off the crazy upset, almost gets knocked out in that first round, and comes back to knock out Jake Collier with like one working eyeball. His like orbital got shattered, and that's when he was taking those shots of beers after in the walkway, wherever. And like as a fan, you want to watch it and be happy and like, oh my god, what a crazy moment. But as a bettor, you're just pissed because Jake Collier had him out, in that first round. And he went for the finish and couldn't get it, and then death gas and got knocked out by a little Chris Biggie Boy Barnett, and that was just a terrible, terrible look. But equally bad was Martin Buday's fight most recently against Lucas Bresky, which you want to talk about a robbery, man. I feel bad. I had money on Martin Buday in that fight. I definitely thought we lost that fight. Went to split decision, and I was shocked that he even did. And then when it comes in that he won, I was just shocked. So he gets outlanded in a fight that was very uncharacteristic for him. So he, like the way Martin Buday likes to fight, he's a pretty big heavyweight, but he's really good in the clinch. He likes to push guys forward, get him pressed up against the clinch, hold them there, get those underhooks, and just do damage. Knees to the body, elbows to the head, punches, here and there. Not doing enough not to get separated, or even there getting the guy down. But for the most part, this guy wants to do his work in the clinch. Jake Collier on the other side, I'd probably say his best work comes at range, right? His hands aren't that bad. I understand, right, the Chris Barnett knockout looks really bad, but that was more of like a dump where he almost had Chris Barnett out really, really early in that fight. And then obviously had like a huge adrenaline dump and gas dump. And he's been fat his whole life. So he's a heavyweight now. He's 265. He used to be a middleweight. He's just going steadily up and up and up, getting fatter and fatter and fatter like a Pokemon. I will say a really quick, funny story, man. One time, me and my boy Martin were watching the fights and stuff, and Jake Collier was fighting, and I think one of the commentators mentioned, like, oh, yeah, so-and-so Jake out of Cuba, Pat Smith's pit. He mentioned his gym, right? And he mentioned that he was out of Cuba. My buddy looks at me and goes, oh, he's got that Cuban boxing? I was like, no, bro. He means Cuba, Missouri, bro. And like, just take one look at Jake Collier and then ask yourself, would you ever think this man's Cuban? But yeah, I just thought it was funny. I think Martin Buday wins this fight. I think he wins via decision. It's a tough fight to call, even the over-under, because at any moment, Jake Collier could just death gas and be dead in that fight. But I do expect Martin Buday to just work his type of fight, maybe get a late third round finish. But for the most part, I do think that he will win the decision via clinch work like he normally does. And if he decides to have a fight at range like he did against Lucas Bresky, I favor Jake Collier in that type of fight, which, kind of explains the pick'em line. But at this price, give me Martin Buday. I think it's back on track, finding his normal ways. And yeah, man, give me Martin Buday. Gonna be a decision. Up next, we're almost done on the main card now. Oh, yes, we have Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Marcos Rodrigo de Lima. Waldo Salsa Boy comes in 9-0 undefeated, sitting as a plus 115 underdog. He's 31 years old, 6'4", with a 78-inch reach. De Lima comes in 28-1. He is sitting as a minus 140 favorite. That line is actually moving. He's around minus 170 now. Money's been coming in on De Lima. And he is 37 years old, 6 years older than Acosta here, 6'1" with a 75-inch reach. Now, I love De Lima in this fight. I was considering hammering De Lima, right? The money line. It's starting to get away from me more and more, where I'm probably just going to end up laying on him some, but not heavy, because I was getting close to like 5 units on De Lima here. So I think that he can win this fight everywhere. On the feet, Acosta, that's where he is best at. He cannot grapple. This guy, Waldo Acosta, is super green, right? 9 professional fights. He used to be a minor league baseball player, and he fights like that. He's very athletic. He relies on his speed and explosiveness, doesn't have the best technique, doesn't have the best volume, doesn't have the best IQ. Whereas De Lima, I feel like with the way Acosta fights, right? He's super lead heavy. He's like a boxer, right? A kickboxer. He's really heavy on that lead leg. I think that De Lima could chop his leg down, and I think that De Lima could take him down. I feel like that's the big thing that's really makes me really confident in De Lima. I think that De Lima can take Acosta down at will in this fight. It's just that he's 37 years old. But at heavyweight, it's not that big a deal. When guys get older, they can still maintain, I guess, their skill sets, you could say. Whereas, bantamweight, 37 years old, you probably could get slept no matter who you are. So give me De Lima to win this fight. I'm pretty confident for him to win this fight. If that line gets wider, that would suck. But hopefully we can jump on that soon. Give me De Lima. I don't know if I'm going to bet him inside the distance or decision or any method of victory prop, but I'm pretty confident he'll win this fight. Give me De Lima to win and to give Acosta, the ex-minor league salsa boy, his first loss and strike him out. I think he was a pitcher. I think I'm right here in a contender series. He was a pitcher. Up next, we have a featherweight fight between Julian Juicy J. Erosa and Fernando Padilla. Julian Juicy J welcomes Fernando as Fernando is making his UFC debut. Erosa comes in with a 28-10 record, sitting as a minus 190 favorite, and that's actually wrong. Money's been coming in left and right on Padilla, to where now Juicy J sits around minus 155, minus 145. A lot of money and support coming in on the debutant Fernando. Juicy J comes in, 33 years old, 6'1", with a 74.5-inch reach. Padilla on the other side, like I said, making his debut, 14-4, coming in at around plus 140, 26 years old, 6'1", with a 76-inch reach. So right away, 2 guys in the featherweight division at 6'1", pretty rare. This is a tough fight to call too, because as far as the money line and the over-unders, because I actually like the over, but it's tough because Juicy Erosa just came back from getting knocked out 2 months ago, guys. He got slept by Alex Caceres via a nice head kick. And that was tough because we had money on him in that fight, and he was looking decent up until the head kick happened. And then against Hakeem Duwadu, we actually had Hakeem. And so the last 2 fights, we've been on the wrong side against Erosa. Man, I'm staying away from his fights for sure. But on the other side, we have I don't want to say jiu-jitsu specialist, but Fernando Padilla, I would say his, I guess, quote, best realm, best area is his jiu-jitsu. He has 8 submission wins, 4 knockouts, 12 finishes out of his 14 wins, and 26 years old. And he hasn't fought in a while either. He hasn't fought in a year and 9 months. And in this fight against Nate Richardson, he didn't look that good either. That was a split decision, and he faded big time in that fight. So I got to wonder, is he making improvements fight to fight, where he's so young that is a possibility. Just because he looked not that good in the Cameron Gaines fight where he got the KO doesn't mean that he can't get way better the next time he fights. Whereas Juicy J will have a ton of stuff going for him. Usually he's a taller, longer guy in the fights, but this guy can match him in that area. But as far as experience, the grappling advantage, the ability to get this fight down, the cardio, the IQ, it all goes to Juicy J, man. I like Juicy J to win this fight. I love the experience in this fight. It does worry me, though, that he got knocked out so recently, man. That's always a bit of a red flag, I should say. And whereas the other side, this dude hasn't fought in forever. I don't know what he's going to look like. So definitely a bit of a question mark fight. Just going to sit back and watch as a fan. He is way younger, Fernando. He is 7 years younger. Tough fight to call, but I am going with Juicy J. Not completely oversold, not crazy confident in that pick, but I think he will win this fight and give a kid a lesson here. Give me Juicy J Erosa here. Be a decision. Up next, we have the co-main event. This is gonna be a banger. Oh no, actually that's not the co-main event. We have Cody Brundage taking on Rodolfo Vieira. Cody Brundage comes in 8-3, sitting as a plus 230 underdog. He is 28 years old, 6 foot with a 72-inch reach. On the other side, we have Rodolfo Vieira. He also comes in 8-2. He is sitting as a minus 280 favorite, 33 years old, 6 foot with a 73-inch reach. I am going with Rodolfo Vieira to win this fight. I think he's going to do it via submission early in this fight. I've never been that high on Cody Brundage. He's coming off losing to Michał Oleksiejczuk, who's actually next on this card. And then he did impress, though, in that Tresean Gore fight. I did not expect that knockout win to happen the way it did. And so for me, that was a bit of a, I guess, prove me wrong type moment for Cody Brundage. But I'm still not that sold on his skill set. He's a pretty good grappler, pretty good wrestler, and has pretty heavy hands, but he doesn't have the best volume and the best technique, I guess you could say, on his hands. He's a really good left hook. But dude, Rodolfo Vieira is a specialist, let's be honest. Rodolfo Vieira, jiu-jitsu specialist. This guy's submitting everybody outside the UFC before he came to the UFC. And even against Chris Curtis, his jab didn't look that bad. I was actually shocked at how good his jab looked against Chris Curtis, because I expected Chris Curtis to be the one winning the stand-up minutes. But he shot 20 takedowns in that fight, didn't land one. And that's because Chris Curtis has really good takedown defense. I think that he's going to shoot and land takedowns on Cody Brundage, get him down, submit him in this fight. Cody Brundage is a grappler himself, so he's not going to be green on the mat. He's going to know what to do to try to avoid, but I think over time, eventually, Rodolfo will get that submission. He has been submitted in the UFC himself against Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, which was a shock to everybody. But I think he gets a submission here. Give me Rodolfo Vieira to win via submission in that first round. And now it's time for the co-main event, which is a banger of a fight. We have Caio Borralho taking on Michał Oleksiejczuk. Dude, Caio Borralho 13-1, sitting as a minus 300 favorite, 30 years old, 6'1", with a 75-inch reach. Michał Oleksiejczuk comes in 18-5, sitting as a plus 240 underdog, 28 years old, 6 foot with a 74-inch reach. I'm going with Caio Borralho to win this fight and to win via submission. I understand he hasn't finished anybody in the UFC yet, but I think he's going to do it for the first time in this fight. So let's start with his opponent, Michał Oleksiejczuk, super dangerous striker, right? Heavy hands, knockout artist, you could say, 28 years old, very young guy, long and rangy. He lost to Dustin Jacoby in a fight where Dustin Jacoby had one working leg, so that's a terrible look. And then obviously knocked out the GOAT, Sal Malvi, really quick, made quick work of him. And then in his last fight, knocked out Cody Brundage, where also he looked really good. He's coming off 2 first-round knockouts, hasn't really got that much ring time in the last 2 fights. Whereas Caio Borralho, super, super good, highly touted prospect. The guy really impressed on Contender Series. Comes in, beats Ghazi Omar Gaziev, who, I'll be honest, isn't that good. Beat Armin Petrosian in a very tough fight, and then coming off beating Makhmed Muradov in another tough fight. Both those last two guys are very good fighters, and I think that he has the jiu-jitsu and grappling advantage over Michael that's so severe that I think that he will finish the fight. I think that minus 300 is a little wide, but it is somewhat justified. If you could have got, minus 280, minus 275, that's a good bet in my opinion, because I do think that he's going to win this fight. I think that he's going to get him down with relative ease and avoid the most dangerous area of the fight, man. Why would you, spend extra extended minutes in the striking realm with Michael? I understand you got to show him a little bit of, so he's not just diving at the legs the whole fight like Ben Askren, but I expect Kyle Borralho to bounce in there, use, some in and out movement, manage the range there, and get close, grab this guy, get him down, submit him in that second round. Give me Kyle Borralho to win, a submission win. I'd say a rear naked choke, second round. Up next, man, we have Song Yadong taking on Ricky Simón. Yadong Song comes in with a 19-7-1 record, currently sitting as a plus 105 underdog. He is 25 years old, 5'8", with a 67-inch reach. Ricky Simón, 20-3, comes in as a favorite at minus 140, 30 years old, 5'6", with a 70-inch reach. Now, this fight is exciting, guys. I am so pumped for this fight. So, this was supposed to be the co-main event, obviously, last week. We all know. It gets moved to this week because Armin Tarzukian's opponent dropped out. This card had no main event. They said, you know what? Let's get these two guys, a big platform, put them on the main event. And so from a 3-round fight, this turns to a 5-round fight. And I am picking Song Yadong. I actually bet him in this fight. I have 1 unit on him at plus 105 to defeat Ricky Simón. And I think he's going to knock him out, guys. I really do. I think Ricky Simón's going to get knocked out on Saturday. And it's tough, man, because my whole, I won't say career, but my whole history, of gambling UFC, I would tend to bet Ricky Simón in this fight, that type of fighter. So Ricky's a very, very good combative grappler with a gas tank to match. This dude can do it for 15 minutes. 25 minutes. And he's going to shoot. He's going to be on Yadong all fight. I think he's going to be pushing him along the cage and trying to get him down from there. I think on the feet, Yadong will have a huge speed advantage. Song will be way faster in this fight. He's coming off fighting Corey Sandhagen, which was a relatively close fight, guys. I had money on Sandhagen. I was low-key sweating that fight. He did get screwed by getting cut in that fight, and they ended up calling the fight. But it was a pretty close round, or a fight for 4 rounds. That 5th round was going to be very, very exciting. Ricky Simón just hasn't fought the level of competition, in my opinion, that Song Yadong has. And I understand that he has a grappling advantage in this fight. And like I said, most of the time, I would be betting someone like Simón in this fight because they do have the one area where he could just win minutes and secure rounds like that. Ricky Simón could be losing a 50-50 round and secure it at the end with a takedown. But the way the judges have been judging lately, you really have to get damage on the guy. And I think Song Yadong has enough grappling to get up, to get to the cage and to separate and get distance. I think that he's going to be way faster in this fight. And I think that he's liable to knock him out all 5 rounds. So give me Song Yadong for 1 unit at plus 105. A bit of a quick video this week, guys. Like I said, it was the only time I could do it this week. I am trying to do a video on Friday for my official bets. But so far, I do have 2 bets. I'll run them really quick. I have Jamey-Lyn Horth. I have 1.05 units on her at minus 105 to win 1. And then I have 1 unit on Song Yadong at plus 105. That's it for my bets so far, but really quickly, let's go from the bottom up. Our quick picks. We have Jamey-Lyn Horth, Brian Kelleher, Stephanie Egger, Josh Quinlan, Carlos Johnson, Marin Buday, Lima, Julian Erosa, Rodolfo Vieira, Kyle Borralho, and Yadong Song. Thanks so much, guys. We hit 200 subscribers, guys. Thanks so much for the support. It just sucks that we got reverse swept right away. But the last time that we got reverse swept, we went on a 4-card winning streak. We went 10-2 on our next 12 bets. So we know we're going to bounce back, guys. So thanks so much for watching my video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment. See you guys next week for UFC 288. Peace.